Hi, my name is Brian with Ace Appliance in Toledo, Ohio, and welcome back to another quality video from ApplianceVideo.com. We have a Samsung side-by-side refrigerator. We were out a couple days ago on, and the issue was we were getting water leaking on the floor, and what we found was a bunch of ice on the back cover here of the evaporator panel. This is a dual evaporator system, so the refrigerator also has its separate evaporator that does the cooling just for the refrigerator side. So we had a bunch of ice built up, which means one of two things on this particular refrigerator. Either we have a defrost issue or we have a clogged drain tube. So what we've done so far is taken the shelving out of the refrigerator here, and then also unmounted our water reservoir, which was mounted here like this. We just took the two screws out on either side, two Phillips screws from this to gain access to this back panel. What we need to do is take the back panel off and determine whether it's a defrost issue or a clogged drain tube. To do that, we have four screws, four Phillips screws that we need to take off. One here, here, and then two at the bottom here. The tools needed for this repair are a Phillips screwdriver and a heat gun. So we're going to go ahead and take our four Phillips screws out that are holding the back panel in place. Alright, now with the screws out, we should be able to pull our evaporator cover off here. And we're going to have a couple wiring harnesses to take off to be able to get this out the rest of the way. They're up in the upper right section here. They're just going to be tabbed on the left side. You have to push the tab in to release them. And those are going to be for our evaporator fan motor. So you can see we have the ice buildup here on the evaporator. This has been off now for a day, and we still have some ice left in here. It's probably a lot worse. A lot of it's been able to melt out of here. The whole evaporator is probably one solid block of ice. So we need to see if it's a clogged drain tube. We need to get the rest of the ice out of here. Part of our styrofoam from the panel stayed attached to the ice, so we're going to have to get that reattached to the panel again, or replace the panel. And we're going to do a couple tests on our heater and fuse in here to see if we have a defrost issue. So to check our defrost heater and our defrost fuse, we're going to unplug the connectors for it and do a continuity check with our electrical meter. The first Molex connector at the top here is going to be for our fuse. And to release it, there's a tab on the left side. Push in with your thumb, pull it straight out. And we're going to take our meter leads and plug into each side of the connector. And I'm getting an audible tone, which means the fuse is good. So the next connector down is for our heater. Alright, and on this one we're going to test for our defrost heater. We're going to do a continuity, an ohms reading, a resistance check with our ohms on our ohm scale. And I am getting about 89 ohms on the defrost heater, 90 ohms. Alright, so with the defrost, fuse, and heater testing good, we determined that we have a clogged drain issue here. So what's happening is when the unit goes into a self-defrost, it normally would go down through the drain tube into a drain pan at the bottom of the refrigerator. In this case, with it being clogged up, the water has nowhere to drain, so it stays behind the back panel and refreezes again on the evaporator, and you have this solid block of ice. It also is able to escape somewhat from back there when it's water form and leaks down into the bottom of the unit and finally out onto the floor. So what we got to do is just melt all the ice out of here and run some hot water or whatnot down through the drain to clear it out and put it all back together. Alright, now that we got all the ice melted off of the evaporator and out of the bottom here, this is where our drain tube would be through the slotted holes of the metal protector of the evaporator there. We got some water here. We're just going to pour back there, and you can see that the water did drain right through. So now our drain tube is cleared and we're ready to put everything back together. Now we're ready to put everything back together. First thing we'll do is plug our fuse and heater back into place. There's the heater, there's our fuse back plugged in. Tuck the wires back. And the next thing we'll do is go ahead and put our back panel back into place. We got to make sure that we plug our connectors back in that are attached to the back panel for our evaporator fan motor. So it's only going to go into one of the, it's keyed to go into the right one, so you can't put them in wrong. And now that those are plugged in, we can place our panel back where it goes. Got a wire sticking out over here. We don't want to pinch any wires. Alright, now that our panel's in place, we'll put our 4 screws back together. Also, when you put the panel back together, it's going to have like 4 tabs that you'll feel that'll lock into place. 2 up towards the top and 2 towards the bottom. So you'll know you kind of got it back in the right place when those all snap together for you. Next, we're going to put our water reservoir back in place, 2 Phillips screws. And next, we can put our shelving back in place. And that will complete our repair for today. We're going to plug it back in, get it up and running, and it's going to take a few hours for it to cool back down. Okay. Thank you for watching another quality video from ApplianceVideo.com.